And then I suddenly felt such loathing for him that, even if he had proposed to me, I wouldn't have accepted him. And for a whole 5 years I've been showing off like this. No, it's better in the street where I belong. Either carouse with Rogozhin or go tomorrow and become a washerwoman. Because nothing on me is my own, if I leave, I'll abandon everything to him, I'll leave every last rag, and who will take me without anything? Ask Ganya here, will he? Even Ferdishchenko won't take me. Maybe Ferdishchenko won't take you, Nastasia Filipovna, I'm a candid man, Ferdishchenko interrupted, but the prince will. You're sitting here lamenting, but look at the prince. I've been watching him for a long time. Nastasia Filipovna turned to the prince with curiosity. Is it true? She asked. It's true, whispered the prince. You'll take me just as I am, with nothing? I will, Nastasia Filipovna. Here's a new anecdote, muttered the general. Might have expected it. The prince, with a sorrowful, stern, and penetrating gaze, looked into the face of Nastasia Filipovna, who went on studying him. Here's another one, she said suddenly, turning to Darya Alexeyevna again. And he really does it out of the kindness of his heart, I know him. I've found a benefactor. Though maybe what they say about him is true, that he's, like that. How are you going to live, if you're so in love that you'll take Rogozhin's kind of woman, you, a prince? I'll take you as an honest woman, Nastasia Filipovna, not as Rogozhin's kind, said the prince. Me, an honest woman? You? Well, that's, out of some novel. That, my darling prince, is old gibberish, the world's grown smarter now, and that's all nonsense. And how can you go getting married, when you still need a nursemaid to look after you? The prince stood up and said in a trembling voice, but with a look of deep conviction. I don't know anything, Nastasia Filipovna, I haven't seen anything, you're right, but I will consider that you are doing me an honor, and not I you. I am nothing, but you have suffered and have emerged pure from such a hell, and that is a lot. Why do you feel ashamed and want to go with Rogozhin? It's your fever, You've given Mr. Totsky back his 70,000 and say you will abandon everything you have here, which no one else here would do. I love you, Nastasia Philippovna. I will die for you, Nastasia Philippovna. I won't let anyone say a bad word about you, Nastasia Philippovna. If we're poor, I'll work, Nastasia Philippovna. At these last words a tittering came from Ferdishchenko and Lebedev, and even the general produced some sort of grunt to himself in great displeasure. Tin and Totsky could not help smiling, but restrained themselves. The rest simply gaped in amazement. But maybe we won't be poor, but very rich, Nastasia Philippovna, the prince went on in the same timid voice. I don't know for certain, however, and it's too bad that up to now I haven't been able to find anything out for the whole day, but in Switzerland I received a letter from Moscow, from a certain Mr. Solotskin, and he informs me that I may have inherited a very large fortune. Here is the letter. The prince actually took a letter from his pocket. Maybe he's raving? Muttered the general. This is a real madhouse. I believe you said, Prince, that this letter to you is from Solotskin? Asked Tin. He is a very well-known man in his circle, a very well-known solicitor, and if it is indeed he who has informed you, you may fully believe it. Fortunately, I know his handwriting, because I've recently had dealings with him. If you will let me have a look, I may be able to tell you something. With a trembling hand, the prince silently gave him the letter. But what is it? What is it? The general roused himself up, looking at them all like a half-wit. Can it be an inheritance? They all turned their eyes to Tin, who was reading the letter. The general curiosity received a new and extraordinary jolt. Ferdishchenko could not sit still, Rogozhin looked perplexed and, in terrible anxiety, turned his gaze now to the prince, now to Tin. Darya Alexeyevna sat in expectation as if on pins and needles. Even Lebedev could not help himself, left his corner, and, bending double, began peering at the letter over Tin's shoulder, with the look of a man who is afraid he may get a whack for it. "16. It's a sure thing," Tin announced at last, folding the letter and handing it back to the prince. Without any trouble, according to the incontestable will of your aunt, you have come into an extremely large fortune. It can't be! The general exclaimed, as if firing a shot. Again everyone gaped. Tin explained, mainly addressing Ivan Fyodorovitch, that the prince's aunt, whom he had never known personally, had died 5 months ago. She was the older sister of the prince's mother, the daughter of a Moscow merchant of the Third Guild, Papushin, who had died in poverty and bankruptcy. But the older brother of this Papushin, also recently deceased, was a well-known rich merchant. About a year ago, his only 2 sons died almost in the same month. This so shocked the old man that soon afterwards he himself fell ill and died. He was a widower and had no heirs at all except for the prince's aunt, his niece, a very poor woman, who lived as a sponger in someone else's house.